It's actually.
I think the owl is not taking it.
I've heard some recorded in as well.
Sorry, the flopping on me like. All right, there's just enough for the board, so.
No, we're.
Just, okay.
Yeah.
It would never get moved.
Yeah, yes.
Yes,
we actually, we've seen.
Yeah.
We came out with this job.
That's, well, I'm trying to. Like Bill was saying.
All right, are we ready? We have the applications.
That's the application for Denver. Yeah. Good.
Like if it's not a sound.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep, we're recording, we're good to go, and we
Okay.
have couple people joining us on Zoom. We have Bonnie Hamilton and we have Robert Dorf, excuse me. I believe from the Nixon Peabody.
Okay. All right, good evening, everybody. A little after 6, so we'll go ahead and get started. We'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is minutes. You have from
Not there. How about the last meeting?
Oh,
all right,
I skipped out on you people. Yeah.
that's right. We do have, all right, well, we don't have any current minutes to approve.
who took minutes?
I started taking minutes and he said it is recorded, right, got it.
Okay, all right, well,
We're celebrating the country's 250th.
we'll generate some minutes from the reporting.
May minutes.
All right, we have a quorum. Everybody's present. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all in the public gallery for being here. We've got a good group, so we'll keep moving. As you know from the agenda, if you've seen it, we have a full agenda. And we're going to get through everything before 7. And at 7, we're going to talk about the pesticide ordinance. We have one person presenting who won't be here till 7, so that's why I said it's a hard time. So anyway, so we have a lot to do before 7, and hopefully we will be able to move through the agenda efficiently, but don't want to cut off any public discussion, don't want to cut off any discussion around the table. So if we get bogged down, we'll adjust the agenda and the timetable. All right, first item. I see Ms. Bartlett's here, present. Thank you. Thank you very much for your filings. The issue for us tonight on the application by Ms. Bartlett is an assessment by us, decision by us, as to whether or not the application is complete. If there's anything else that we need for the application. The next part of the process will be to, assuming we find the application is complete, is to go forward with noticing the abutters and getting ready for the final review. And don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to do that next month. All right. With respect to public comment, I'd ask everybody to hold their public comment until a particular agenda item, if you have public comment for that. If you don't, if you have just general public comment that isn't related to a particular agenda item, we'll hear that now. And I apologize, Bailey. I skipped the public comment. So any public comment that's not related to a particular item. Sitting in it. Very good. Okay, now, Bailey, thank you. Did you have anything to add to the materials you shared with us?
I added what I thought would be necessary, so I'd say no.
Okay, all right,
Happy to answer any questions though.
thank you. Board members, any questions for Bailey on what she submitted? Not seeing any.
One
Oh,
question.
yeah, go ahead.
Are you gonna continue doing your landscaping business as well as operate this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that other building will be used for that purpose?
No, nope. I have, there's an existing shed behind the big garage.
Mhm.
And that is where my landscaping stuff is.
Yeah.
The inside of the big building is all studio space for
Very good. Thank you.
That's important.
Is there any use of water related to this application?
artwork. No.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, the only observation I would make at this point is that as you pass by, it's very distracting because it's so damn interesting. I want to stop and just look at it. So aside from that, I think it's a great deal, and thank you for all the work that you put into it. And thank you also for the application. I thought it was, for the purposes suited, it was really well done. Really well done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll use it as a model in the future for other applicants. Okay, do I have a motion to? Gary,
One comment that I would make before you take that vote is I haven't seen any evidence that he had submitted the permit application fee. So that's one of the requirements for being a complete.
And I can write a check before I leave at that.
So depending on the fee will be dependent on what you determine that the structure is, whether it's an accessory structure or principal structure, so. It makes a difference of, from 33 to 40 something dollars, so there's the $100 site plan review fee. And then the building permit application fee.
and, go ahead. April.
Bailey, I was just curious, do you foresee any other permits you'd be pursuing besides the shed, as part of your business?
No.
No, okay. I mention it because site plan review is kind of, it seems to get mixed up with permits, but it's really like just a big underlying thing that you do before you get permits. So if you had a business that was gonna require multiple permits, it would be good to just lay it all out to the planning board, then you only have to come to us once, then you're done, and as long as the permits you're pursuing are within that plan you've already presented, there's nothing else you have to do. But if all you're planning is the shed, then
That's, yeah.
And there you go. And you can always come back too, like if it expands.
I don't have the application for the permit in front of me, but Bailey, did you indicate whether the structure was going to be an accessory use or was the other term primary?
It, yeah,
Okay. And the fee for that is what?
3360, it's 336 square feet, 14 by 24.
Yeah.
All right,
So get that.
yeah. At some point before we consider approving the application, we'll have an opportunity to pay money to Gary.
Well, yeah, and I can, like I said, I can write that
At
right
your,
before I leave.
at your convenience, we're not.
Get that box, so.
Yeah.
Another box.
And you're welcome to leave without paying. So,
But I think, I just want to like get clear about this process, because I feel like the permitting keeps getting mixed in with the site plan review. The permit is still a Gary thing.
Right.
Because she's applying for a land use permit. So we would just look at her plan and say, this is either harmonious with the community or not, and as long as we say yes, then any permit she needed would just proceed normally. If they would have gone through Gary anyway, they go through Gary, right?
Okay.
Right?
We'll talk about that when we're ready for it. next
Okay.
meeting, okay, all we're doing today is saying it's complete. Okay, congratulations, thank you. Gary, let's check.
Yeah. Should we vote on,
Yes,
Okay.
sorry,
oh, that's okay.
do I have a motion?
I motion to approve the application is submitted
As complete.
as complete.
All in favor? Oh, discussion.
Well, just because we actually have a set of criteria that we're supposed to certify. So any very proposed site plan of your application, the board should determine whether the proposed enterprise meets the following criteria. So it's kind of going through again, that there's a set of criteria. I'm not saying it doesn't, just saying that we actually should reflect that we have a complete application before we approve the site plan. We want to go through the criteria and say, yeah, it's good.
And I assume folks will familiar with the criteria, and if there's anything that we don't have. That doesn't meet the criteria that we think should apply, we should have heard about it before now. You want to amend the motion, or how do you want to be?
Well, maybe just ask the question, if you reference the criteria. In the ordinance, and this is under section 10A of the site plan review ordinance. There's 23 different criteria items. And Scott's actually asking about water, and then gets into other things. I think that the application provides the information needed to respond to the criteria. And I had looked at the criteria and thought we could approve. But I thought we should reference the criteria in terms of approving the application.
It's a good idea. You amend your motion, adopt your.
So we're not approving the application today.
All we're doing is saying that the application is complete.
Yeah, so I
We
believe,
have the information
I
that we
believe
need.
that the application is complete the way it's submitted and
Sure.
that it supports evidence to speak to all the criteria.
Under section,
10A.
So 10A.
okay,
And then that's fine, we don't, I draw mine. I thought we were actually going forward all the way to approve it.
do we have a
No.
second on the amendment?
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
all in favor of the motion as amended?
Which is it's complete.
That's complete.
So we don't have a vote today.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. Send me your.
Yeah, so we're just approving it as complete.
It's complete,
It's
right,
complete.
right, right.
The application is complete. In other words, the point here is under the site plan review process, there's a whole laundry list of things that could be requested, and some are appropriate, some aren't appropriate. And given the nature and scope of this application, it is my assessment, and I'm just one member, that the application was sufficient under the criteria. We didn't need
Right,
everything.
to speak to the criteria. Agreed.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right,
Mhm.
everybody good?
Mhm. Mhm.
All right.
Do we
Any-
have a site visit that we need to schedule or are we going just to vote and approve this by the next meeting?
We can talk about that for just a minute.
Mhm.
Bailey, are you anticipating making the application? The formal application in time for our meeting next month?
There's another application I have to do?
Well.
Like,
No.
like a form if there is.
What we're doing is we're saying that your application is complete, we've accepted it, now we're gonna put it on the agenda for next week or next month. So really what I'm asking you is, would you be ready to go forward with your final presentation and application next month?
Yeah.
Nothing new that has to be filed.
Yeah, oh, yeah, because there's
Okay.
no new information to provide
Okay.
anyway, so.
All right, then you'd be ready for a decision tonight if you could.
Absolutely.
All right, we still have to notice the abutting land.
Yep.
So,
That's kind of the key point, so that notice goes out, and so proof of that notice would be something else that we add as part of the process.
So your point, Demi, what's the move of the board? You want to have a site visit? What do you think, Demi?
Is it, are you asking, is it necessary to have a site visit for
I
this
think we
particular
have-
application?
We have an option, we have an opportunity if we want to do it. We don't have to.
Okay.
But we can certainly do it.
Well,
Can I ask a question
Hold on, let me.
about that? I just someone can answer me, yeah.
Well,
Go ahead,
Demi,
write it down.
okay, I mean, the area is pretty observable from the road. I think we've all had eyes on it, so. And along with this, the tax map picture and the diagram, if we could forego a site plan, if we could forego a site visit, I would, like we have been doing for peer applications in this case. But I'm open to what the board thinks.
Okay. All right. Rich, before I get to you, any other?
I think
thoughts?
that this is all good. It's a great, exciting, as John said, it's a very exciting opportunity here at this property here, but it's also changing traffic. Traffic gonna be coming in and going out, and maybe it's very modest, but I'd like to just get on the property, check out the ins and outs, exits and entries and the parking spaces that Bailey has designated. So just a quick visit to take a look at the traffic situation there.
All right, well, I was gonna talk about this at the end of the meeting, but what I was going to propose as a policy is that if at least one member of the board wants to do a site visit, then we should go ahead and schedule it. One person has to do it, then we should all do it. But any other comments, thoughts? All right, Rick.
My only comment is, isn't that the opportunity, site visit, isn't that the opportunity for the abutters to come and see what's being done?
Good point.
And then also, if they have objections to that, what's going on, they can voice that. It's a public meeting for the abutters to voice their concerns.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. All right, I think there's a consensus between the board and the public that we're going to have a site visit. In terms of scheduling, Bailey, what time?
We will make whatever work.
Okay,
We have to have enough notice in the.
You gotta
paper.
get that.
Yeah, and notice to butters.
Yeah.
Do we need newspaper notice for this? I'm not sure.
I think so.
It's not like, with Ted, we were changing the map. That's why we had to do special notice. I'm not sure if we do for site plan. This
Let's
is,
give ourselves enough time.
Local.
To do it.
Yeah. I agree, we should.
I think with any commercial activity, there needs to be public.
I think so, but let's assume we do, Bailey, what, is there any date toward the,
I will make anything work, so, and if you wanna get back to me, you don't have to.
let's set it while we're all here if we can, so our next meeting is, July 8th. That's July 4th week before, what's the pleasure of the board? Give people enough time, I'd like to do it as late as we could, I could do it the first week of July, last couple of days of June. What do you all think?
The last week of June works for me.
Like that Monday or Tuesday?
No. Yes,
For me,
22nd or 23rd, anybody? Do you have conflicts?
I was looking at the plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
20, oh, no, I'm sorry, I was thinking of the last week of June as the last full week of June. I won't be here, but that shouldn't stop you.
So it does need to be published twice in the newspaper. Yeah, sorry, I'm just control Fing through the ordinance here. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm gone the 12th to the 20th, and then I'm gone again the 26th to the 6th.
So,
The 22nd or 23rd or?
I don't think that gives us enough time.
I
Or two.
don't have a calendar pulled up right now, but
Okay, hold on.
well, if
hold on.
it could be published in the paper on the 18th. But if we have to do it twice, then we have to do the 25th. And that would put us into the week of the 29th.
Yep.
Well,
I don't have to be here,
okay.
that's why we have alternates.
All right, well, let's say, why don't we plan on the 29th?
Okay.
And what time is good for you, Dale? Can you do, it's a Monday, we do around 5:30?
Yep, 5:36, whichever.
But 5:30, so that just in case, the select board at 6,
Oh,
if they have stuff with that day.
okay, 5:30,
Okay,
5:30
okay.
Monday.
Got it.
Monday, the 29th.
29th.
Okay.
And these people have to know before then, correct?
Yeah, they should be given notification.
All butters.
Yeah.
And so the burden is on the applicant to do that, Bailey. So you're gonna wanna, mail these folks.
Mail what?
You're gonna wanna mail, notice to the abutters to make sure they know about this.
Okay, and what does the notice need to say?
Just a letter being we can look into it. Let's get together after. If you want to come into the town office tomorrow,
I'll come in tomorrow and.
we'll talk it through.
And I'll write you a check and.
Yeah.
Okay.
It basically just, the point is to let them know when, where, what time.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
No, the struggle, and it seems like a lot for an art shed. But the struggle with our current ordinance now is that we have no way, there's no way to delineate. A flower shed from an industrial operation right now. We have to treat them all the same, which is weird, but it's how everything is written right now.
We'll be
We'll
working
take
on
care,
it.
yeah, we'll take care of it. We'll get it done.
Okay, next item, is the Bell Atlantic Signal Tower. Do you have somebody online for that?
Yes,
Bill?
good evening. I don't know if you, can you hear me okay?
No.
Barely.
Hold on a
Sorry,
second,
our
hold on a
video's
second.
off.
Yep.
We can hear you. Sorry, our owl system keeps blinking in and out. Let me see if I can turn you up at all.
Is he going to be presenting?
It is on, it just stops recognizing the USB randomly. Because we bought the cheapest laptop on it.
Taxpayer dollars at work here. Okay, now I think it's working. All right, Robert, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, is it too much if I try to share my screen?
Yeah, the whole room can't see your screen unless we pull down a projection, so do you wanna, are we presenting?
I wasn't aware, I could try to set up the projector. You guys want this?
Yeah, let's just talk it through. This is the.
Yeah. Okay, we can, we
Yeah.
come,
Yeah.
come back to it. I'll just take 2 minutes here to outline what we're doing. Again, my name is Robert Bergdorf of the law firm Nixon Peabody, and here tonight on behalf of Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless has service deficiencies, coverage, and capacity in the Westport area, in the whole Westport Island area. And it is unable to provide appropriate levels of service, or reliable service to emergency services and to businesses and individuals. And to resolve it, the only way to resolve it is to get a cell site built. And a cell site's basically transmitting antenna in the right location at the right height to solve the problem. And if you might have heard this before, maybe understand how cellular works, but if you think of a honeycomb grid or cells, the idea is you've got an individual tower or antenna or cell site in the middle of each cell. It broadcasts to that cell without unduly overlapping in the neighboring cells and interfering or gapping. So it's got to be in the right location, the right height, so it doesn't overlap, not too high, not too low, so it gaps. So basically, it's just extremely limited flexibility to where you can place it and make it work for the network. Here we've come up with a search area, and that was submitted and a letter to the town dated June 3rd, and we showed the search area. Basically, what happens is the engineers build it on computerized models. They could test where it needs to be or where it can be and still work for the network. And from that, they come with a search rank. So basically, anywhere within that area. And here we've looked at different sites. We try, the first thing is to co-locate on an existing tower. If we find an existing tower, that's a home run that we can go on. Absent that, we try to go on build right next to a tower if we can. We go on tall buildings. You don't have any 13, 14, 15-story buildings in this search area. The good news is there was a tower in the ring. And unfortunately, the tower itself, we can't go on that tower. It doesn't have nearly the structural capacity. It's built for a whole different kind of whip antenna than these panel antennas that you need for cellular. But we can build right next to it. The tower is, I believe, 290 some feet, the existing tower. We're looking at a 130-foot monopole. So there's no guy wires. And again, this is shown in the materials on an elevation drawing, at least in the materials we submitted. But we're about 40% of the height of the existing tower, and we'd be right next to it. And in terms of land use, that's typically what towns like to see. They like to see us, quote, consolidate disturbances. So if you have one tower, get the other ones next. You have a water tank, put it next to a water tank. We did submit some materials to show all the sites we looked at, but none of other ones were close to a tower. We don't really care where we are, as long as it works from a technical standpoint, and the land's obviously available and we can build on it and so forth. But in this one, we were fortunate enough to find an existing tower that we can go right next to. So that's the proposal in a nutshell. A lot more materials would come with the application. We'd be showing a lot of technical details, where the service deficiencies are, propagation studies showing how this meets its structural information, FCC licenses. So would put that all in the application, but we understand that the process in this town is to come first for this pre-application meeting. I guess to talk about it a bit before we can actually make the formal application. So that's what we're here for tonight. I hope that helps give some background as to what we're looking at doing.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to the public first for questions, and then we'll have questions from the board. Members of the public? Yeah.
What emergency services exactly are they talking about?
And what port coverage, I would like to know.
One at a time. Hold on.
What emergency services exactly are you talking about?
Any emergency services that use cellular, and more emergency services do use, they transmit telemetry by cellular. Most 911 calls are made from cell phones. So emergency services are part of the FCC mandate in order to provide service to a particular area under the FCC license.
Did the emergency services here in Lincoln County say they have a deficit of not having enough
Yes.
bandwidth with, or whatever it is that you're providing?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear all of that. Could you repeat that?
Did Lincoln County Emergency Services state that they actually needed this tower and your services?
I don't know without talking to the RF engineers. They're the ones who put this together. But whether they've raised that or not, if we have inadequate coverage, we still need to provide that for the public, because the public uses it primarily. If for emergency services, the primary use is for 911. Not all emergency services use cellular. Some use still old equipment, but it's pretty typical that a lot will still use cellular for different fire. And you may not have this in your county, but for instance, fire departments may pull up using cellular building plans as they're deciding how to attack a fire for a building to see how it's laid out. Is an example that may be more sophisticated than the emergency services that you have, but there's certainly an element of emergency services to cellular, and 911 is at the core of that.
Yeah, but the services that you're providing as emergency services, I mean, our small town doesn't even have those kind of capabilities or equipment that you're saying that you could provide those services. So, and my question is being that tall, are we actually gonna be in the shadow of the transmission on Westport Island? Are you
No,
servicing more of like Edgecombe, South Bristol? Cause I know like being under the umbrella of your services doesn't really provide service to the immediate vicinity.
Yeah, it
From what I
absolutely does.
understand.
Yeah, it absolutely does. You have to be pretty much right under the tower. I know what you're talking about. There is a very small area. We're talking about basically on the least part. So it'd be right underneath it. And we can have RF engineers show you exactly where that is. But yes, this is for this area. And as part of the application, you'll see precisely where this tower reaches, what areas it covers, and the signal strength. And we supply all of that, usually prior to a public meeting. So this process, I didn't realize this would be a public hearing. We wanted to submit the full application with all that material. We were told we come here first with some rudimentary information, and then we supply all this material. It will be supplied. It's a very comprehensive application, and it will go into great detail about the service deficiencies, coverage deficiencies, capacity deficiencies, and precisely where this covers and where it covers at this height and at other heights, and how it interacts with the other cells, so that we can get a modern, reliable system of wireless communications for this cell. So all that will be answered.
And let me,
The owner of the property,
hold on, I apologize for interrupting. Let me just orient everyone to what's going on here. This is set for a pre-application meeting, and the purpose of that meeting is just to hear from the applicant, get a sense as to what they're doing, because this is all new to everybody in the room, including us. So we're just trying to get a sense of what's going on here. There's going to be another opportunity, at least one other opportunity, to ask a lot of questions and state positions. You know, if folks are for it or against it. So that's not tonight, and I'm not saying that you're going out of bounds here,
No,
but
I just like wanted to know like who owns the property
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how they acquired
It's in
it.
the
I'm
application.
I'm not,
Application.
Okay.
yeah, I'm not cutting off your
No.
questions. I just wanted to orient everybody to what's going on here so that people don't think this is the one and only time you'll get to talk about it. But let me just see, did you have any other questions?
Me, no,
Okay,
if
okay.
there's another forum for it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I do
for
have a
sure.
statement,
Um,
and I wanted to go on the record.
okay,
My name is Michael Hamilton,
go ahead.
it's my property. I
Okay,
provide the right of way for this to happen.
you went,
I provide the right of way in my deed
okay,
to allow access to this spot,
okay, great,
okay?
welcome.
I have neighbors who are worried about this. I'm hoping that a great deal of interest and study is going to go into this. There is nothing so far that I have seen or read that shows that this community needs this or requires this. This is Verizon. You can call it what you want. It's Verizon.
Okay,
I ask people all over my community if they think that they need 5G. And they all say, oh yeah, that's a great new thing. And I ask them then, do you have any problem with your reception? And every one of them says to me, no. But it's a great new thing. They hire high-paid lawyers that bring you really nice, colorful presentation. And those of us who are right there under the umbrella are gonna be hurt by it. I sent you guys a letter. I'm hoping every one of you have read it. That's my official position. Okay,
very good. We'll make sure it's in the record.
please.
Good, good. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
I will note one or two comments to that. If we didn't need this site, and again, we'll provide that proof. If we didn't need the site, why would we build it? Why would Verizon spend the money to build it if it didn't need the site? Number one. Number two is the building of the network comes down to the FCC license. It has an obligation to build it and a federal right that preempts local zoning to make sure it has adequate service in each of its licensed areas for the reasons we stated. For everything from, it's been stated, from national security to emergency services to the convenience of the public. So as a public utility or operating under an FCC license, it does have a
Were
right
you just
to be where it
mentioning
has a
eminent
license area.
domain?
Well,
No, you didn't.
I'm sorry?
hold on, we're getting a little far afield. We're just gathering information right now. Okay, folks, so we're not going to debate it. We're not going to answer. We're not going to make any decisions tonight. Let's just gather some information. Other questions from the public?
I just want to know when abutters can submit written questions and concerns
Anytime.
and whether there's a site walk and public hearing, I'd like to be notified.
Yeah, anytime, and anybody who wants to be notified of any events, send us your emails. Send them to April, so.
Right, but it's just like Bailey's situation, this is site plan, so butters will be notified.
Certified mail.
By
But-
certified mail, and I think even broader than just a butters, like in a certain radius, so there's a whole.
Yeah, but beyond that, and we've done this in other cases, if their folks are interested and they don't live anywhere near it, but they want to be on the mailing list, send us your email and I'll make sure you get the notice.
Okay.
Okay,
And I-
before we get
My
to
only
the-
other comment is I would like the planning board to keep in mind the historical value of where this location is to our historic center. And also the amount of blasting that would need to happen for this on that property. And the effects that that would have on our water.
All right, we'll, I don't know the name of the applicant's attorney again.
Robert.
Yeah, Robert.
Robert, so you're hearing comments from the public that may affect your final application. That's part of the process here, is exchanging the information. So before we get to the board, any other comments from the public? Questions, ask for information? Okay, again, we're not deciding anything tonight. We're just warming up. Okay, we're hearing about it for the first time, so.
We all.
Okay, all right, to the board. Demi, you had your hand up first.
I'd first ask you, Robert, have you looked at any other towns for placement?
Any other, I'm sorry, the last part?
Any other towns?
Towns? Yeah, if you look at the search area that we submitted, that search area shows you the location where it needs to be in order to fit the network. So if you look at that, that shows you and I can know exactly where the town lines fall within that, but that shows basically the area within which we need to be in order for it to function properly. And let me say it again, we don't care where we are. The law says we get a site. We get to get a site that works. Well, we don't care where it is. And that's what the part of this process is. If this isn't the right site and there's another site within the search area that works, and the municipality says, we'd like you to go to X, and it's available, we move. But
Okay.
what we can't do is go away. And what federal law doesn't require us to do is to go away. We have to solve the coverage deficiency.
My follow-up question to that is, what other municipalities are you currently speaking to?
You have to look at the search area. We've laid out June, on the
Do you
June 3rd
know?
meeting. I'm sorry?
Do you know the towns you're speaking to?
Why don't you look at the search? Does everybody have the submission that we made?
Robert, could you specify, is the search area, there's a page in the submission that says search analysis Westport, Maine. Is this the only, this picture that you have, on,
There's no page number, but there's a title at the top that says search analysis.
yeah.
Yes.
The radius shows Westport, Maine only.
Is that
Are there
the-
any other
Yes.
towns?
You see that red ring? Is there any other municipality other than Westport within that red ring?
No.
Then then it would only be in Westport. And basically anywhere in that area works. Now, obviously it doesn't work in the water. The RF engineers are not to look at anything other than signal strength and where the signal would work. Right?
So there are no other municipalities that you're in contact with, correct?
There's none other that would work. If only Westport is in that red ring, there are no other municipalities that would work.
And that's
Very
according
location
to,
sensitive. I'm
and
sorry.
that's according to,
You'll see it in the RF analysis. That's according to the laws of physics. I mean, that's how it
Okay.
works.
Okay, I think we're good.
nope, I'm just not done. So when you do come for your next meeting, I would like it to be in person so that we can communicate efficiently. Thank you.
Yeah, when we have offered to do that on July 8th. In fact, we've already booked to make sure that we're going to be there on July 8th.
So she's correctly, that it says the law says.
You'll have time. You'll have time.
A question for him. Did he just say that the law says he can do this? That he must do this? That it's required for him to do this? Is that what I heard?
That is correct, not at this site necessarily. What the law says, the federal preemption under the 1996 Federal Telecom
So we
Act.
have those.
Okay. We're gathering information. We're not arguing the issue, okay? You'll have plenty of time. I guarantee.
No, we won't.
Plenty of time.
Can I
one of
speak?
my,
Yes.
I have had my hand raised like 5 times and been interrupted. I live like 2 addresses down from this proposed site. I have Verizon. I have terrible reception. I've had to make a 911 call from my home and I've had to rush out into my front lawn and hold up the phone to do it. So there is an issue with coverage and with emergencies. And nobody in the neighborhood has spoken to me.
Well, you live in a much higher hill than I do.
Sir,
I don't get
we're
reception where I am.
we're just gathering
It's very
information.
bad. I have to stand in a certain spot and run outside.
are we speaking as a?
That's-
No, I wanted to speak during public comments, but nobody would call on me.
Sorry.
Okay.
What I'm hearing is that we don't have any public comments. The law says.
No, that's not.
All right. Go ahead, Dick.
One thing at a
Yes.
time here.
Robert, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
what is gonna happen to the equipment that is existing on that piece of property at this time, the tower and the building?
We have nothing to do with that. There's nothing to do with this facility. If you look at the site plans that we submitted, the zoning drawings, you'll see an elevation. We'd be going next to that tower. We've got nothing to do with that tower. It's just that we chose that one is the initial application, and the town can move us if this isn't the right one. What it can't do is say, go away, you're not going to get service. But we went here because we're next to an existing tower. Most people want that. We have nothing to do with that tower.
Okay, and the second question is, will there be detailed information about what the foundation for that monopole tower?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. If it's not with it, it's certainly with construction drawings, not all with zoning drawings, but I'll check with the civil engineers, see if we can get that submitted with the application.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Robert, Jeff Carbox, I'm asking, going back to the site analysis. We had a question actually from our fire chief, because he was aware of the application. I sent him a copy of it. And he's interested in possibly in the having access to the tower, or sharing in some way the towers for the use of the fire department. The fire department also has a need for radio and is considering improving our radio transmission capability here. But it's about 2 miles north of your red ring. So how much flexibility might there be? What he would propose is actually siting the tower here at the, because the fire station is adjacent to the town office.
Yep.
And so a different location, still supporting the cell, but it wouldn't be at the center here, but it would be about 2 miles north of your red line.
How close, because I don't have a scale on this map, how close would that be to the, I assume, the northern edge of this red ring? Is it even close to it?
Well, I'm saying it's about 2 miles north of the red ring.
Oh, north of the ring. Look, I'll have the RF engineer. We'll look at anything. I'll have the RF engineer look at it, but I'll tell you from experience, 2 miles is pretty far. A lot of these cells are only covering, it depends, but they're only, that may be more than they're even covering. So it's pretty far. Is that even off the island? 2 miles?
No, it's so if you continue north on the main road, it's actually next to the town office. So you use the address of the town office where you sent this to. That would tell you where he's going to say, could you consider that as a location?
Is there any ability, and I don't know what their needs are, but is it possible that they can have transmissions further south, because they may not have the same restrictions and limited flexibility as their cellular carrier has. So it's possible that we may be able to allow them to go on the tower at this location, and it may work for them. What I'd suggest is you let me have our RF engineers talk to them to find out what their needs are and to see if there's some way we can find something that would work to help them. And typically,
As you're saying, I think that would be great. I think our chief would be interested in having that discussion.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's been here from your operation yet. But in either case, whether they haven't or haven't, one thing you might consider, consistent with what you're just talking about, is calling, or through us, calling a community meeting where folks who have a direct interest in it could sit down with you, get some more information and talk about, there may be a perfect solution out there that will show itself once everybody sits around the table. So I'd encourage you to think about that, and we'd be happy to facilitate that for you.
It would be great, and we would be happy to do that. And look, we have come into towns where we think we've got the best site, and the local community says, no, here's a better one. And like I said, we don't care where we are. But what we can't do, and what we're not required to do, is to go away. We get to have a site that works, and we work with the municipality to find out where that is. But it's not a Dunkin' Donuts. It's not something you just say no. There's an ability under federal law to make sure we have good coverage throughout the United States. So Happy though to explore any possibility that's right for this community, as long as we can solve the coverage concerns.
One more
Nick,
quick question.
let me just see if anybody else who hasn't talked yet. Nick, did you have any? Mary Ellen? Okay. Let me go ahead.
Obviously, we have a lot of criteria under section 10A, we just went over. And a lot of it is for this industrial type development. Because of the scale of this project and the industrial nature of it, I think we need to give the whole town enough notice to respond and react. And I move to have multiple public hearings for our town. So with this representative president, so they know exactly what exactly is being presented for our town, a Q&A. I suggest at least 2 open meetings at our town hall and for a conversation of back and forth so that the whole town is able to learn. And I think that more than the people in this room should have initial reactions. And I hope that those meetings happen before we vote on a finished application.
Well, you're part of the board, so we'll be talking about that throughout, and we can have 20 meetings if that's the sense of the community. Nobody's limiting any public participation in anything.
And we welcome it, by the way. I'd be happy to do that. Look, we're not here to upset anybody. We're here to fix a coverage problem. And so I feel that there are a lot of people who are upset before they even know what this proposal is. And we're here to work with the community. But in the end, we got to find a way to solve the problem.
No, that sounds good. The only thing I would suggest is we heard your statement regarding the law, the statute. I understand that your advocacy at work here, but it sets the wrong tone. It's more adversarial than cooperative. And I think we want to strike a cooperative tone here. So I'll just share that with you. Dick?
Yeah. So I have one more question. When you have your RF team come out here to evaluate the situation, could you also have them evaluate the obsolete equipment that's there, or to see if it is obsolete, and to be able to remove that if necessary? Because I'm seeing that as a danger to the community if that is left intact without being demolished if it's obsolete.
Yeah, who broadcasts from there now?
I'm Bell Atlantic, as far as I know. I'd like to see that research done.
Gary, do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so that's an open question as well that you may not have direct control over, but you might have some influence over. So, all right.
Yeah. The last thing I'd just like to say is that certainly wasn't meant to be adversarial. It was just to lay out what the law is. And I'd be happy to bring in, if you've got a town attorney, let him just download what I've got to him.
Okay, so before we leave this item, any other comments from the public before we close it? Okay. Any other comments from the board? Okay. All right. Robert, thank you very much for your time. Sounds like we'll be in communication with you. April, do you want to be the point of contact, or do you feel comfortable doing that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate to have on our board here April Thibodeau, who is also the town clerk. So if you keep in touch with her, we'll make all of this happen.
Okay, so we will submit the application. I'm sorry, you said April was?
Yeah. That's me. I'm town clerk. It's trying to get the owl to switch over to me. I'm over here. It's town clerk at westportisland.gov. And you can find that on the website too.
Okay, and then so we will plan on, we'll get this submitted probably in a week with a lot more information. We'll plan on July 8th to be there in person. I'll bring the RF engineers. I welcome anybody to please read the materials, read what we submit. And if anybody's saying questions ahead of time, my information's on there. We're happy to do it. If there's a point person for the community, happy to work with, one person who can distribute stuff. You just tell us how you'd like to do it.
All right, one last comment from Jeff.
And this is back to the fire department. How best could we communicate the fire chief or the fire department with this proposal?
If that fire, if the fire, yeah, if the fire chief can, if somebody can send me his information, I will forward it on to the RF engineer in charge of this project, and then they can communicate.
Great.
Make sure the fire chief is copying April on everything, and if you're.
I'll loop them all together.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
send an email. Robert, is your email in this somewhere? I see it. Yeah.
Yes, it's on the cover page. Should be on the cover page.
Okay.
And just for the benefit of Joe back there too, I'm assuming we're gonna loop in Jason Cates for this.
Yeah.
One last question from the
I have
audience.
one question for you, Robert. We're the owners of, we're one of the abutters, and we were contacted by your company several years ago offering us money to lease the property for the structure. And we did not want anything to do with it. Is that something that's on the table for the fire department? The money that was offered to us?
Yes, if we ended up, for whoever the landlord would be, because we typically rent, not buy, whoever the landlord would be receiving rent, yes. And if it could be on municipal property, we like to do that. It's just got to be municipal property that works, given the limited flexibility as to where you can place a cell site.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Sorry, John.
go ahead.
Just as, we'll be doing, I have taken a deep look at your application before this meeting, and just as we're gonna be doing our homework on you, I suggest you also take a long look at our site plan ordinance, please. Regarding, our comprehensive plan as a rural community. And the areas in which you're focusing on, which is, and take that into consideration as well, so that you're prepared to answer some questions at the next meeting.
Yes, and just on that, because we often come to a town where if we can go into an industrial section and that's where the town wants us, because sometimes it's even better somewhere else from a land use standpoint. But if the only spots that work are outside industrial section, in the end, and again, I don't mean this to sound adversarial, it's just what the law is. It's known as effective prohibition under federal law. So in the end, if the only spot that works is a non-industrial, non-commercial section, then it would be an effective prohibition and violate federal law to not allow it in the non-industrial section. So there's a conflict a little bit.
I think you beat that horse dead. Okay, we're gonna move on. We look forward to your visit. Appreciate your patience and everybody else's patience. April, I apologize. I thought you
Oh,
were
that's okay.
speaking as a board and I
No,
wasn't.
That's why I was trying to get in there, because I'm like, I'm in the neighborhood.
You have to walk around.
I could have walked out there and
You
took
have to
a
run over there and put on your. Okay, Robert, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the Sheepshead Marine Service pre-application. Ted, you're on.
I received the DEP approval for the pier project we discussed and laid out since last year.
Okay.
The documents are all prepared by Tim. I know he's gonna be here, right? I had the check attached with people, I think.
That's what we like.
Yeah, early discussions, I may owe you some more money as well. I guess we'd like to schedule a on-site visit. I assume the members probably want to visit, visit the site again.
Okay, so,
And then have this here application behind the cover page. And like we did last time, the right-hand site plan review,
Okay.
no official permit again for that, yeah.
all right, we'll give it, obviously, we're literally seeing this for first time. We had an idea of
Yeah.
what's going on, it's coming. In terms of why we're here tonight for the pre-application get together, similar to the one we just had, and you've been through it before.
Yeah.
Just kind of give us a quick overview of what you're planning to do with this application.
what's been approved in the DEP is not a commercial pier,
Okay,
as we discussed previously, from other site that had the property. It's starts on the northwest portion of the property. It's approximately 35 by 60 foot pier. Access road to the pier, ramp and float connected. To operate our business from Chiefs River Marine Service, provide access for our service at work boats, mooring barge as well. Loading, unloading, supplies and material, just operating the business from that site.
yeah, and just to focus, everybody, for a moment, is all we're talking about the pier?
Correct,
Okay. Nothing else with this application?
correct.
Okay, okay. All right, we'll circulate the information that you, shared with us tonight. Hold on. I'm sorry, you need a minute? Okay, we'll circulate the information that you shared with us, tonight, and, if there are any other questions, we'll get the questions out to you and then we can address it at the next get together. Sense of the board, do we want to do a site visit? I'm assuming there's still interest among the abutters and the other residents.
So
So,
so Ted already did a site plan review. He gave us kind of his broad stroke stuff back in December. So now he's trying to get a permit that is under the umbrella of that site plan review. I will say the site plan review was quite brief on the issue of the pier. We got a sentence or two. We didn't get pictures or anything, but I saw the DEP one. And I believe I sent it around. I hope I did. So I saw pictures there. So I have a sense of what it is. This is just a permit. So it's coming to us because we're the planning board, but it's not site plan review at this point, I don't think, right? Is that what you're thinking of this as, Ted? You did site plan review and now you're moving forward with this part of the plan and you're just submitting your permit to the planning board, just like any other.
yeah, I think it is what it is, but we'll follow up on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't think we had a site plan review application. We had
Okay, all right, well, we're not gonna solve that right now. What we're gonna do.
okay, what we do with
That's
that
what it
time.
was called.
We're-
Well, we didn't.
Hold on. All right, we're gonna take your application. And we're gonna process it, and we'll figure out among ourselves, how we.
And so again, the last time was suggested, because it's
Yeah, yeah.
a full application, was whatever build application you apply for, just also write in site plan review as well, and you kind of treat it as one and the same, which I've attached the peer permit and building site plan review.
We're all good, we're gonna get to the same place, however we get there. In terms of timing,
This starts the clock ticking.
what is your time? You're ready to go? All right.
Can't leave anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
All right,
No. This
members of the
thing's
board,
well.
do we want to see the site plan review?
Um,
Let me put it this way, does anyone, any one board member want to do a site?
you mean a site visit?
I'm sorry, site.
Yeah.
Apologize. Okay,
It might be appropriate in this case, right?
done.
Oh, okay.
Let's schedule.
Can I
it.
say so?
You have any particular time or date?
The 29th, same as Bailey's.
There you go. Be a field trip then.
What are you doing to us here? You gonna make, come and bring a snack or something?
Save you time, what?
It actually
Free of
is.
snacks?
That's true, yeah.
I just
Um,
wanted to explain, we often, or like lately, I guess, since we've started handling these more, have chosen not to do a site visit. So I'm not trying to pick on Ted. I'm just, because it's more industrial, commercial, I think
there's been a
in
lot
this
of-
case, it's a little different.
It's been a lot of
That's
interest
all.
in it, and to Richard's point earlier, the residents might like to have another outing.
Yeah, that's what we did previously for the other permits we were
There you go.
provided, we did the same thing, we have no problem with that.
And I think it's generated good conversation among everybody, so it's, it minimizes the any anxiety that might be. So
Yeah, we assume the process would be the same, yeah, fine with that.
Right, well, what's the pleasure of the board? You want to try to do it the same? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
I've been there.
All right, so we'll have a double decker on the
Okay.
29th.
We want to do 4:30 for Ted and 5:30 for Bailey?
So when can you make it?
I
Oh,
can, We might do that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, 4:30.
I don't know that we.
An hour, yeah, you might wanna do 5:30.
That's good.
5 works too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's do
5:30.
Good job,
Won't be there.
unless there are refreshments.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
I know.
Okay.
That's too much like, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything's possible, but expect process.
Lobster down that way here.
Do you want us to notify the abutters? Cause you did it last time, I think.
Yeah,
So this isn't a notify the butter situation necessarily, because it's a permit, but.
we're gonna do it one way or the other. Happy to have you do it. If you don't, we'll do it.
Okay.
You wanna do it?
That's fine.
Okay.
Does it, I think, it doesn't need to be certified. It's nice to notify the butters, we should, but we don't need like all the expense and evidence that you had to do for the site plan review.
All right, you guys good?
I'm sorry, what time do you decide?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yep. All right, very good. I forgot to ask, was there any comment from the public on that? Not seeing any, okay. Very good, all right.
702?
Flycatcher. You dropped one on us here at the last minute.
No, we did, this was my fault.
Well, because it's a redo or whatever we call those, PBRs.
Yep.
So I think we can move through it as long as the board is comfortable. They only got the paperwork yesterday. So members of the board, are you okay going forward with the Flycatcher application, which is identified a little bit more specifically as what, how do you identify it?
Eric Dill, 841 Main Road.
Okay. Everybody comfortable going forward? It's a redo, I guess, while folks.
I can just give a quick introduction.
Yeah, that'd be great. And if I could focus you, the only question I really had was, in all the pictures, I just didn't see any evidence of anything there before. So if you could give us a little bit more on that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so this was approved by a prior planning board, not terribly long ago.
The one that's not there.
The one that's not there now,
Okay.
yes, because it was severely damaged. So they took the rest of the components out, that's why it was there. Okay. So this is just it's been fully approved by Army Corps, DEP and the town. And now just want to put everything back where it was, same structure, same place, no changes.
Okay.
So DEP has approved it, the Corps is fine. In a lot of towns, this will just be a building.
But we're special.
That's right.
All right. Board, back to you all. Are you all, is everyone comfortable going forward? If I want to work with it, if you're not.
Just a little note, I think I was part of that prior board.
You are.
Yeah,
So you have to recuse yourself.
I don't really do, but,
No.
but I don't know if I have to go there, see it again.
Okay, all right, well then let's go forward. Questions from the public and. All right, questions from the board.
When was the original structure removed?
When was it, when did they just take it out?
Yeah.
I think they took the last of it out this spring.
Oh, okay,
Contract.
it kind of just.
Any other questions? Okay, we have the standard set of criteria that we apply. And I know this is a little brief, but the board will allow, I'll incorporate them by reference without going through each one of them, since we're all so familiar with them. And this is a rebuild. Do I have a motion? Here's the references.
Yeah. But you're looking for a motion?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking for the word.
criteria set forth.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I move that the criteria set forth in section 15, land use standard in subsection C, piers, docks, wharves, bridges, and other structures and uses extending over or beyond the normal high water line of a water body or within a wetland of the town of Westport Island Shoreline Zoning Ordinance and section 16, subsections C, D, and E of the same ordinance be stated as having been met by this application.
Do we have a second?
So Dick second.
All right, drum roll, all in favor?
So this will require also a select board vote for the ordinance. They're gonna meet on next Monday, I guess. Not me, you, but, yeah, so the select board will meet on Monday. I will make a note to add that to their agenda. And then can I get everybody who voted on that to sign the permit while I'm thinking of it? And while you're at it, sign the other 3 that we already approved?
I have the permit here.
Okay.
I'll switch the way.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask a question?
Can you?
Too late, you already voted.
No, and this is more shits and grins. So when we did do this review previously, the comment of the board was that,
Let's have other people sign while you're talking.
okay, was that it was likely gonna be destroyed because of the movement of ice and so forth in that area.
You are correct.
And there were other comments as well from the board chair at that time.
The last.
Yes, there were. So what actually happened? Were we right in saying there was gonna be destroyed by the flow of ice in the current situation?
Those are the
I
3 we already
definitely played a
approved.
significant role in it.
Second
And
line on
I
every
think
single
it may have had something to do with how it was constructed.
Okay.
So I did not see it after it was built. But I saw
Thank you, sir.
I saw some of the pictures and it looked pretty compromised.
So is the construction gonna be different?
Just, I would say it's
Thank you.
slightly different methodologies, but the same structure. So hopefully it'll be more secure.
Okay. Another risk.
Yep.
Thanks, Zach.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your patience. Great to see
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Thank you for your great applications.
Oh, wait, yeah.
There are plenty of chairs, folks, if you want to grab some other chairs.
Thanks for your okay.
I'll stand around.
Thanks for your welcome. All right, why don't we just take a break so everybody can get a chair? Take care, Ted.
This one needs their saves.
Anybody need a stretch break?
Yeah, these 3 are the ones we approved, you guys approved previously.
But I was gonna have to.
So,
See, I was gonna.
for the minutes, do we have the names of?
All right, everybody, we're taking a brief recess of 3 minutes, so if you want to stretch, visit with us.
You can erase my name.
Well, at least we have, you were at the meeting. You were at the meeting where we voted on those 3, right?
It's the 13th, May 13th.
I think so.
Yeah, so can you sign those 2?
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, wait up.
But question, just, are we keeping track of who are in the 10 minutes? Do we, those the minutes?
You mean to pass?
Oh, this is when they're speaking, so we had Michael Henry speak.
I think everybody announced their names. I'm getting the name.
So you're okay, you're getting the.
Most of them, but again, there's at least 6 people here who are restricted, so I don't know the names.
We just
Oh,
want to
there's
make
that
sure.
troublemaker, Greg Van out there.
So that should be.
People need to identify themselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Speak, otherwise it's,
Yeah, we should pass them and state their.
Yep.
it's like they're all dictionary.
It's more. It's a little bit.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a number of. To share with the students.
The county would be happy.
Yeah.
First of all, and we're not.
Right, I mean, I wired, but it's not maintained, that thing's gonna collapse. Somebody could figure out.
All right, yes, you do need your phone record there, okay.
Okay. You strike people online. People on.
Right. No, actually, I believe they're talking.
All right. Okay, everybody ready? All right, we'll go ahead and get started again. Thank you all for your patience. The next item on the agenda is presentations by Kelp and Susan Gallagher of new information regarding the pending warrant items 52 and 50.
Doesn't mean they can't find water there, it's really.
52 and 53. Okay. What I'd like to do in all clear, thank you. Sergeant of Arms. Good job. All right, what I'd like to do is just give a brief rundown as to how we got to where we are, and then address the merits of the ordinance, give everybody a chance to be heard on that. And then secondly, talk about the process, concerns about the process. How we got here, and there may be more to it, and I'm happy to take additional information as folks share it. Is February 10th, 2025. The select board conveyed a, I don't know if it was a hearing, but it was a meeting, and present at the meeting were Ms. Gallagher and representative from Kelp to talk about spraying pesticides on the Kelp property. And I just happened to be there because at that time I wasn't employed again, and I was attending the select board meetings on a regular basis. So I was just an observer and there for the first time. April was also present at the time for it. At any rate, it was a great conversation. Lasted, by my count, and watching it on the video, 53 minutes. And a lot of good information was shared. I've recommended that tape to anyone who's interested in the issue so they can kind of get a quick up to speed on what the issues are and the various positions. Then at the end, Ms. Gallagher spoke first, and then the gentleman, I've forgotten his name.
It's me, Dylan.
Dylan, welcome back. Welcome back. Was present, and then at the end of the session, for the last 10 minutes, about 43 minutes to the 53-minute mark, there was a conversation about what's next. And that conversation focused on an ordinance. There was conversation with the select board about the process in presenting an ordinance with Ms. Gallagher, who was, as far as I know, was kind of doing it for the first time and wanted some advice. And as a result of that conversation, the conclusion was that Ms. Gallagher was going to either put together a committee or present her proposals to the to the planning board, and it would go from there. At the meeting, Dylan, who's here again tonight, again, was very gracious with the information he shared, And at that point in the meeting, during the discussion of the ordinance, Dylan said, let me know if you have any other questions. And that was pretty much it, which was appropriate, and they went forward. Then, I don't know when Ms. Gallagher came to us for the first time, but I think it was in the fall of 25, so roughly about 6-8 months later. She said, I'm here and have this proposal, and so she started talking to us about it. And at that point in time, our board was beginning to take on questions, issues regarding ordinances that we were going to be proposing. We did a lot of work from that point forward until the last meeting. We had special meetings, and 99% of that work was focused on addressing the building code, the shoreline zoning code, trying to reconcile those, and looking at other new issues. Along the way, we discovered the map that had been missing, the map that really is the gold standard for planning and zoning decisions here in Maine. So a lot of work went into that, and a lot of effort. Along the way, I won't say trailing behind, but along the way, was Ms. Gallagher and her presentation. It was not something that we initiated, although we didn't discourage it. And I'll just say here, as I've said other occasions, we, as a planning board, really encourage residents to come forward with new ideas, proposals, things that will advance or enhance the quality of life here in the island. So we don't discourage that, even if we don't initiate it. We don't discourage it, and we certainly encourage it. And at least I can't speak for everyone else on the board, at least I viewed that process as one where if somebody comes to us, we may or may not, as a board or as individual board members, decide to vote in favor of the town meeting, but we certainly want to encourage and support that neighbor of ours in putting the issue before the town, having the appropriate discussion, then making decisions. And as we all know, anybody who's been involved in the legislative process, things don't always get passed the first time. And oftentimes when something's introduced for the first time, it generates discussion, more work, and then they come back again. So anyway, so that, just to put that into perspective. And I'll say, during that entire time, even as worldly as some of us are, it never ever occurred to me that KELP would feel they were under attack or personally focused on in some aggressive or unneighborly fashion. It just never occurred to us. And, among the folks sitting around the table and Gary sitting out in the audience and others who have attended our meetings, we had, I think, 5 meetings where we discussed the proposed ordinance, pesticide ordinance, and we had 2 meetings that were fairly substantive in hearing from Ms. Gallagher about it. And along the way, we said to Ms. Gallagher, reach out to folks who you think have an interest or are interested. And she did. To my knowledge, she reached out to Sasanoa Brewing, or the farm there, and spoke to the folks down there. She also reached out to Terminex and some contacts there. So, so that's where we were. Last week, or June 1st, I received an email from Ms. Kolak of KELP. I assume she's here. Hey, welcome. And and she said, in a nutshell, that Kilt had a concern with the ordinance and wanted to talk. I said, you know, thank you for the note. You got me at work, but would you like to be put on our agenda for tonight? And as you can see, we put you on the agenda.
Thank you.
Well, of course, thank you for reaching out. And then you wrote back and said, great. And I wrote back, expressed concern that we were hearing from you at the 11th hour. I was concerned that we had missed some indication that you all wanted to participate. And in any event, I said, while it's late in the process, it's not too late. And in fact, under the statute, we were required to have 2 or 1 public hearing. We had 2, and that's in addition to the sessions that we had, the 5 sessions where it was mentioned and the 2 subs where it was discussed. So the system works. You're here, we're all here. As a result of the public notice that was issued, we didn't have your participation at the public meetings, but you didn't miss anything because there are only about 3 or 4 people there anyway. So I think where we are right now is positive. It's good. Everybody will be able to hear what you have to say if they are either here or listen to the recording of the meeting. And of course, you'll have an opportunity to participate at the town meeting. We encourage you to do that. I'll speak to the process after we talk about the merits. But the subsequent letter that was sent after our more polite exchanges was disappointing. And Kilt has a really good reputation here in this community. It's a gold standard as far as I'm concerned. And the people associated with it, Dennis Dunbar and Rich, are people I have a lot of admiration and respect for. Your letter did not reflect that, and I think that was unfortunate because people who read that letter are going to have, I think, a negative reaction. And we can talk more about that later. But let's talk about the merits. Let's talk about the substantive issues that we all have to vote on here in a couple of weeks. Let me. I was going to ask each of you to give us an initial introduction for 5 to 10 minutes. Obviously, we don't have an hour as we did at the select board meeting. But if you all have handouts, you know, we can get those distributed, put them on the town website if appropriate. I know Ms. Gallagher has published information too. So I'll be guided a little bit by how you all want to handle it in terms of timing, but I know I've got some questions and other board members may have some questions, the public may have some questions. So I don't want to preempt your how you want to approach it, but it might be well to just jump into the questions, but it's up to you all. So there's Kolak, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Please.
Okay. Welcome. So how would you like to proceed?
Well, I did come with a prepared statement that I'm happy to read. I think it reflects a lot of the viewpoints that I shared in the letter, from myself, and Health Land and Stewardship Director Andrew Morgan. There was a second letter directly from Dylan, who is our preserves manager. In the letter from Andrew and I, it is also signed by 2 health board members who are Westport Island residents, Greg Bale and Rich Morrison. So I'm happy to read that statement. And then happy to answer questions. Of course, Susan, I'm sorry we're meeting in person at this, but it's lovely to see you. Thank you for coming today. If you also would like to speak first, I'm happy to have the floor.
The floor is yours.
We've heard from Ms. Gallagher. I've listened to the tape. I've read the letter. So, and I think that's probably true for the board members as well. I wouldn't invite you to simply read the letter, but if you have some highlights that you want to share in terms of the substantive issue, that would be great.
Sure. I've never presented in front of a refrigerator before. No.
You can stand anywhere you want. You can stand up here, you can stand over there. Stand behind me if you want to.
I guess I just want to thank everybody for having the opportunity to come to present to the planning board. I think it was, to name the explicit, a little bit of a shock to get word that this ordinance change was coming down the pipe. And that there had been multiple conversations after the February 10th meeting at the planning board, in which at no point was HELP reached out to kind of bring our perspective and our methods and our credentials with relation to the application of pesticides on our properties for specific purposes. I think seeing the rationale prepared by Ms. Gallagher really indicated to me that there was a focus specifically on kelp, which was also alarming based on our work here on Westport. The fact that we've been a part of the community for closing on 30 years. We own and manage over 400 acres on the island, and that we are invested in this community and being a part of it and providing these natural spaces that are for wildlife habitat and for recreational use for trails. I think a significant responsibility of managing those 400 acres specifically is the mitigation of invasive species, and that is the primary source of when we utilize pesticides. And it is for the containment and ideally eradication of these invasive plants and pests.
So you're talking about herbicides, not pesticides.
I'm using pesticides as a wider term, but herbicides does fall underneath that umbrella term. But thank you I'm happy to clarify that.
Yeah, and just the rules of the game here tonight, let Ms. Polak speak and then Susan speak, and then we'll have questions. Okay, go ahead.
And these invasive species do threaten the ecological integrity of the conserved habitat and do impact the uses and enjoyment of our public preserves. And in the submitted letters, we do provide additional resources and references speaking to the impacts of invasive species and HELP's integrated pest management program. Now, in addition to using pesticides, we do use a variety of other tools. This is one of many tools. We utilize manual removal, mechanical treatments, biological controls. And I agree with Ms. Gallagher, using pesticides is a serious step. These are chemicals that should not be used lightly and not be used willy-nilly. Therefore, CALT has invested in resources and time into professional development to have a certified and licensed pesticide applicator on our staff. And we've made this investment over in the staff member for the past decade. Dylan is our current licensed applicator. This means that we can use the minimal amounts of pesticides on the appropriate species at the optimal time to have the greatest effect. In the past 3 years, we've done 2 applications of herbicides on the island for specific invasive plants types, once at Beaver Pond Preserve and once at Seaverstrom. This is targeted it's surgical, it's effective, while simultaneously reducing the physical disturbance of the habitat in areas where repeated disturbance by manual or mechanical means would be detrimental to the mitigation strategy of the invasive species in question. The proposed ordinance change would remove this tool from CELT, a licensed and accredited applicator, but continue to allow use by the residential public, who I'm sure have good intentions, but do not necessarily have access to or training in pesticide application, and therefore still permits the exposure of Westport Island to pesticides, but by predominantly non-licensed applicators. This can then lead to rippling consequences. In addition, the unfeasibility of enforcement of this type of ordinance. An example, when more serious or complex threats are introduced to the community, I'm sure we can all remember the past summers when we had the lovely population surge of brown-tailed moth in the southern mid-coast, or now we have an alarming introduction of the invasive Japanese stiltgrass, which is quoted from Maine State horticulturist Gary Fish as one of the most aggressive invasive plants we've seen in Maine. Mitigation of these invasive species is challenging and often beyond the abilities of most landowners. They will need to have the ability to engage certified applicators who in all likelihood will be non-residents, who will utilize appropriate control measures, likely including pesticides, to be successful. This proposed ordinance will prevent that and leave a resident with limited options. It will also limit CELT from actively and effectively treating these types of species on our own properties, therefore inhibiting our ability to contain and prevent spread. I can see the intention behind this proposal. Absolutely. It is promoting the health and well-being of the Westport Island community now and well into the future. And CELT's mission aligns with that. But this ordinance change, as written, does not meet this goal, and in fact hamstrings the very organizations and professionals that are trained to help and to support Westport. I strongly encourage the planning board not to support the warrant 52 or 53 and to rethink the approach to safeguards around the use of pesticides. I welcome the continued opportunity to have productive discussions and educational opportunities around this topic. I've reached out to the Conservation Commission on the island with ideas to co-sponsor public information events or lectures with CELT and to tap into our network of colleagues and experts.
Okay, thank
Andrew,
you so
Jill,
much.
and I welcome your questions and thank you again.
Great, thank you very, very much. Susan, you want to go ahead?
Yes, so, I just wanted to state that there was, no intention by me or anyone else of targeting or offending health, the organization. I highly respect them. The proposed ordinance is not about a single organization. It's about establishing a community standard for the use of synthetic pesticides, regardless of who owns the property. Right now in Maine, there are 34 towns that have a very similar ordinance to the one that we're proposing. And there are 4 cities, including South Portland, Hallowell, and Algonquin, that completely ban synthetic pesticides. So when I first learned that glyphosate was being used on our preserves, I approached the issue respectfully. I asked questions and shared concerns. But it became clear that this was going to be an ongoing practice. So I chose the democratic process available to every citizen in this town. The proposed ordinance applies broadly and equally. It is not directed at a specific landowner or organization. It asks a simple question. Should synthetic pesticides be used on non-residential lands in Westport? So the proposed ban does not affect homeowners, and it would still allow homeowners to hire licensed applicators if they chose to. If this ordinance truly targets no one, then no one should fear in allowing the community to decide whether the standard should apply equally to everyone. Citizens do not need professional credentials to propose ordinances. Town meetings exist so residents can research issues, ask questions, gather support, and bring proposals before their neighbors. The merits of this proposed ordinance should be judged on the evidence, risks, benefits, and values of this community. Costs alone should not determine environmental policy. We do not choose practice. We do not choose a practice simply because it is less expensive and time consuming. If it shifts risks to our wetlands, pollinators, soil organisms, or future generations. Conservation sometimes requires more work, but stewardship has never been about choosing the easy option. I encourage everyone to focus on the substance of the proposal and make decisions based on what they believe is best for the health, environment, and future of Westport Island. And as to the safety of glyphosate, which is the chemical of concern here, I mean, I know the ordinance talks about all synthetic pesticides, but glyphosate is the biggest concern. Even among regulatory agencies and scientists, there's ongoing debate about its impact on human health, aquatic systems, soil biology, and biodiversity. And in my opinion, when uncertainty exists about a chemical being applied in the environment, communities have every right to choose a precautionary approach. So I did do some research and found some alternatives that may work. I also spoke with a bunch of neighbors and friends about their willingness to help with manual removal of these invasive species. And I did not get a no from one person. Everyone was on board and willing to help. So I think that there is a possibility that we could, if we can work collaboratively and join together, we can perhaps tackle this problem without the use of pesticides. I have some handouts here that talks about a 1 to 3 year control program by season. If anyone would like to see this.
Yeah, why don't you make sure that April gets a copy and we'll make it a part of the record of the meeting tonight. We know Kelt's credentials. I know there was a question about your credentials. Ms. Gallagher, could you share with folks your background?
I am not a certified pesticide applicator, obviously. I've worked in the food industry for over 40 years, and I've dealt a lot with chemicals in food. And glyphosate in particular became a concern to me when I started learning about the negative effects of glyphosate in our food and in our crop soils. And I did learn a lot about that through that process. I also want to say that the chemical companies had me convinced as a food scientist that the chemicals that we were putting in our food were fine for years. And now unfortunately, we're learning otherwise. So, you know, we may be reading, scientific journals on these chemicals, and we may see, scientific opinions on their safety, but, there's always, as time goes on, there's more and more doubt coming up about this. So.
All right, thank you very much. What I'd like to do is open it up for questions. We'll bifurcate it, first questions of the speakers. And then after we've exhausted the questions, comments, statements, positions. Yes, sir. Gary.
Question for Dylan. Is the product that you're using, is it in a concentration that's stronger than we could go up and buy it in through value?
So, yes, Stan. Hi, I'm Dylan. I'm a licensed pesticide applicator. Thank you for your question. So, there is a difference between what is available to the general public and what is available to a pesticide applicator. So there's a couple, I'm gonna use the word aquatic to describe a pesticide. It is just because the pesticide is rated to be used in an aquatic environment. And it basically lacks certain ingredients that people are worried about. Those ingredients, however, are often found in hardware store varieties. So yes, we get a more concentrated form, but then we do what is called a custom formulation, in which we take the raw glyphosate and then we dilute it down to our desired dosage. So then we also add something called a surfactant. Surfactant, it's a scary word, I know. Soap is a surfactant. The one we use is a orange oil. It's a soap made from orange oil. It is a surfactant.
It makes it coat the leaves.
Yeah. So we mix. We have the ability to mix compounds based on what we need at a particular site. What you do tend to find in the hardware store is multiple compounds. So if you take a look at what is Roundup now, Roundup is actually not glyphosate often. It is 3 different components. 4-D is one. It has a residual. It can often cause more damage to the environment. It can also, these are less identifiable compounds, so there's less known of a health risk. So that's why we kind of go with a custom formulation. Did I answer your question?
Sort of, I mean, I'm just trying to get a sense of whether there's more of a risk if you've got 15 homeowners around a kelp property spraying Roundup on an invasive species as
Certainly
opposed
you have less control of it, would have.
Yeah, totally. So my license, basically, I have to follow certain rules. So if anyone has a grievance against the way I'm applicating, any concerns, they can file a complaint with the Board of Pesticide Control. That is a state agency that controls my licensure. So unlike a private homeowner per se, there is a distinct avenue to file a grievance against it.
I think someone did. I think that's why we're here.
So they did not file a grievance against the Board of Pesticide Control. I actually spoke to the director on Tuesday. This is, there wasn't in the rules of the state of Maine, there was not a concern about how I was applying. Does that answer your question?
I understand.
Okay, other questions for the speakers?
I'm just curious,
Yes, sir.
if we cut out this chemical, I'm done with all this stuff. The bottom line is, so we eliminate what you're doing, but all us homeowners can go to the store and buy all kinds of crap and spray it around our gardens and everything else there. What are we accomplishing?
Are you directing that question to one of the speakers?
I'm directing it to the whole group.
Okay,
Can I
go ahead, Susan.
speak to that? So, originally, we wanted to have an ordinance that covered homeowners, non-residential and residential. The problem we have is, residential is not enforceable. And our concern was that we would have neighbors, getting mad at neighbors, causing a lot of divisiveness and problems amongst neighbors, and we didn't want that, so my plan was to, if this ordinance passes, to start a series of education with our homeowners and work towards a complete ban, but we don't want to start with by bringing our boots down on everybody and without people understanding what we're trying to do.
Maybe we should have the education thing first.
One person.
Hold on, let's get questions.
So that is why we or I decided to start with a non-residential ban, and the 34 communities that I spoke of when I was speaking have done the same thing, and Southport is one of them. They have a non-residential ban, and they're working. I've actually been in communication with a person from Westport trying to figure out how to spread it amongst the residents.
From Southport.
Yes, yeah.
Other questions, Rich?
If we're gonna, pass an ordinance that is very specific to 400 out of 5,600 acres we have on this island. And we are not, applying it to the professional landscapers that come on the island and spread it all over the place every single time they're here. So I see it in my neighbors doing it all the time. We have accomplished nothing.
Okay. All right, we're gonna get to comments in a minute. Any other questions for the speakers from the audience? Member.
I do have one question about the this main state regulations about application near wetlands.
Yes, hello, it's me again. Yeah, so
Sorry, interruption. My apologies. The secretary is going to beat me over the head. We need names, if you could just tell us.
Richard.
Okay.
Spiriduto.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Yes, so wetland regulations in the state of Maine are dependent on the label of the compound you are buying or applying. Then there is about a 25 buffer from wetlands where you have to hold special licensure. And then, yeah, so wetlands are obviously a protected resource in the state. There is also a recognition by the Board of Pesticide Control that certain compounds are more risky towards wetlands. Based solely on that, we use aquatic listed formulations no matter where we are. We use them upland, anywhere. That's all we buy.
So they can be used right at the edge of the wetland.
I mean, yes.
According to the state of Maine.
Yes, according to the state of Maine, yes. A person who is non-licensed cannot buy these compounds. It is a little counterintuitive that often like the more safe compounds towards the environment are not widely available.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from the audience of the speakers? All right, board members, questions of the speakers.
This is actually a question, Dylan, just a little clarification. So again, the aquatic friendly compound. Explain what's different.
So it lacks, so there's, this is gonna be a technical answer, please forgive me. The compounds created by a lot of companies do not have to be disclosed for non-aquatic resources. So the actual people who are making the chemicals, they only have to disclose it to the state if it's kind of more aquatic, I believe. Yes.
What does it mean that's for aquatic? Does it mean that it it breaks down? If
Oh,
you
yeah,
get water?
so there's two, thank you. One thing is a surfactant, which can. Certain soaps are safer to be used during closer to wetlands. I'm gonna use surfactant and soap a little interchangeably here, but, that's one component. The other main component is something called the residual. So it is the amount of time that a compound is active. So certain compounds are acceptable and intended to have a residual, soil residual. Glyphosate has no residual activity within soil. It breaks down very readily available, about 8 days when it hits soil on average. So those are the main things that I understand. Yet again, this is very high level, the Board of Pesticide Control. They would love to hear from you if you have any questions about that. But from my identification, it's mostly to do with the surfactant and the residual activity.
Other questions from the board? Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I have a question for health. Several of the comments related to feeling aggrieved that health is being banned from use on their residential use would still be allowed. And I'm a little puzzled as to how to interpret that, because it almost seems either that you're recommending that we ban its use entirely on the island by everybody, or we ban only residential use unless they have some kind of certified applicator. But neither of those solutions actually address the actual concerns about the pesticides in the water table. We are a sole source aquifer, and Beaver Pond is in the middle of our aquifer protection district. So I'm confused about where you're going with that in particular.
I think it's raising more of the question of how the current proposed ordinance change is worded and revisiting that wording and revisiting those educational opportunities and learning discussions. I think the concern, I don't know if I have a straight recommendation for you right now, but I think the way that it's being presented at this point is not ultimately going to meet I think a goal of the health and well-being of the island and the obvious concern around water sources. Right now, it's just hampering the land trust's ability to continue to care for our properties while Dylan, do you want to add?
Yes, I have one comment so aquatic listed pesticides are also not ones commonly found in water tables. That's a clarification. So most of these compounds break very quickly down and therefore are not found. The aquatic listed herbicides are not commonly found in water tables. Glyphosate is widely used in farmland applications. I'm not an EPA representative. It is not found in the high numbers. Even when you're talking about like regulatory levels, it just breaks down very quickly.
So your argument is that there isn't a risk
to water tables, from aquatic
to soil degradation to water tables.
Yeah, for most of the compounds were
There
used.
isn't a risk. Why are we complaining about residential use?
So residential use is a different thing. So a lot of the compounds used in lawn care are found in water tables. A lot of fertilizers, over fertilizing is also found in water tables. Basically, that is just what I want to clarify.
Okay, but you haven't really answered my question, unfortunately. Are you basically recommending that there be no restrictions on the use of these pesticides on the island, or that it should be banned for all usage on the island, including all residents?
I think that we should take the opportunity to explore either one of those options more rather than just targeting one type of user with this type of ordinance.
Other questions? April?
Does Celt own properties in any of the other 30-something towns that have this kind of ordinance in place? And if so, how do you operate in those places?
Hi, I'm happy to answer this question. So we do not have any other ordinances, however, don't sue me, I live in Portland, Maine. Which does have a regulation, and I'm extremely familiar with their way of implementing. And what I have heard is it has created a lot of perverse incentives. It has created a lot of lawn care companies who do not register their applications for the city. And basically has not. I've had a loose conversation about this. I'm not diving deep, but it has created a lot of lawn care companies that will make applications without consulting the review council. There is an exemption. But a lot of environmental organizations, there was a case on Peaks Island where there's a large knotweed stand that they sought a variance to treat. The Board of Pesticide Control allowed the variance, stating that there was a good evidence of basis that what they were doing was mitigating harm. But the city of Portland did review it and they did reject it. So it has created a kind of two-tier system where people who are comfortable not going through the normal channels can often continue to operate and see if they get caught. It's about a $500 fine. And then other organizations can't seek going through that. I know I've had some people I know professionally who've worked for the city of Portland. They have invasive species that are a large concern. But they are unable to treat a lot of them due to that kind of idea that going in front of the board, it's likely to be rejected.
I'm happy that we're discussing this now, but like, John and Susan said, we have been discussing this since last October. And in your letter, you've highlighted that you're a large stakeholder in Westport Island, and we understand that as your preserve, and so are our taxpayers, and they're allowed to know what is, and have comment on what's going on, since Westport Island does support these properties and that they're tax exempt, as well as the purchase of Sequestrom Preserve. When Susan originally came to us, we all were shocked that this chemical was being used on a preserve. And maybe that came from our novice, but she spent a series of meetings educating us. And especially on the harmful impacts that these chemicals and where they have come from have, especially throughout that time, we have been working to protect our, what is that, resource protection zones, which one of them, again, does fall in the Beaver Pond. And look at even extending those zones upon the findings that we are a sole source aquifer year prior. This kind of seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have a series of questions of just about the lifetime of, and the life cycle of this product on this land. But one of my initial questions is this the lesser evil? Are pesticides and the migration of those pesticides into the soil, into the water, are those a lesser evil, are you saying, than an invasive species?
I'll take this one. Andrew Morgan, Land Stewardship Director for Celt. I spent a number of years with the Land Trust in New York. I'm from Maine. And in an area that's arguably the most invaded place in our country. And the devastating impact of invasive species to that ecosystem was stunning. Many organizations in some communities either banned or were actively against pesticide usage
And the fact remained is that there are a number of intense invasive species that the only known way to eradicate or control it in any manner is with a chemical. And many of those were compounded with being hosts for invasive pests that were devastating commercial crops, people's ornamental trees. The community that I lived in, people were spending $7,000 a year on average, the average landowner, to deal with the trees that were dead and were posing risks to every infrastructure around town. And with coming back to like the risk in the water as far as Kel's perspective, again, from Dylan using aquatic level herbicides, pesticides, it's the analogy is like a pharmacy, right? Like many drugs are quite dangerous if you use it wrong. But if you use it in the correct dosage, it is for that intended use. And that's our argument today, is that we're using it in the correct dosage for the correct intended use and not wholesale. And so we're addressing what we feel is the larger ecological and human and wildlife health issue of invasive species, with mitigating the risk associated with the limited amounts that we are using. We're doing, like Becky said, we're using other methods, and happy to talk more about some of like the other control methods and having more people help out. We would love that. We've always been trying to be transparent about our work with this tool.
And I'm excited to hear that volunteers would be willing to come out and help us, because it's really hard work to manually remove some of these species. We welcome the additional support in that way.
If I could say one more thing in regards to your question. So we have a lot of experience in habitat restoration and a lot of experience in the mechanical removal. And that soil disturbance is quite severe. And what often came up after was not native species, but more invasive species, and sometimes more aggressive species like Japanese knotweed, Asiatic jumping worm. These species have the ability to irreparably alter our ecosystem and the experience and even the aesthetics of what everybody holds dear of what this item looks like.
So my follow-up question to that is, I understand you cited FDA thresholds for, yes, of course, FDA has thresholds for levels of these chemicals that are concerning.
Yeah.
However, as we know,
Yeah.
those thresholds are less than protective, as in many industries. And we as Westport have been trying to surpass those thresholds to protect our community.
Health as well.
So my next question, for any treated plant, and once you treat the plant, the treatment remains on plant, is that correct?
Hi. It's me again. Sorry.
Dylan, before you get started,
Yes.
I just want to remind everyone, it's 8 o'clock.
Heard.
I'd like to go for another half hour.
Heard.
If you all, I mean, we really appreciate the depth of your knowledge and your answers to questions. But if you could really focus on answering the question, and then we can try to get some more questions for you.
Heard. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, wait, can I just, and
Yes.
this is, so what my question is ending at, part of the use of pelt properties, which, you know, many people enjoy, are hunting. So my question is leading to, when a plant or, you know, is sprayed with this chemical and a deer ingests it, does that, you know, what are the studies of that not making our population, our hunting population sick?
Yeah, happy to answer this question to the best of my ability.
I can answer the second question.
Heard. So when we talk about glyphosate as a compound, one of the reasons it is often used around food is because it is a very readily available compound to break down. When it touches soil, there's microbes in the soil that break it down into underlying compounds. I spent a little bit of time working in neurobiology in undergrad. So I will not bore you with, I had a lot of difficulty focusing on biochemistry, so I'm not gonna get into that. But the reason, I think another comment I will say off of that is we often associate pesticide use with spraying. Spraying is not it's not the first thing we do. There is a lot of, it's called cut stump or more selective treatments where it is focused, literally it is a squirt bottle and a pair of pruners, and you are spending the day cutting, squirting, cutting, squirting. It is very selective, but kind of it uptakes it very quickly. And is that a good place to leave you with the question on deer?
Yeah, the main fact of the matter is these invasive species are not native to the area and deer basically don't eat them. And that's, again, my experience in New York, the overpopulation of deer compounded with those. So the only plants that were thriving were the invasive plants that the deer won't.
Did he survive last year?
Okay, I was told by a local farmer that, the invasives that were being treated here are eaten by deer.
Which invasives?
It was like some kind of bush. It was.
Oh, yeah,
certain.
they'll eat burning bush.
They'll eat burning bush. But they don't really.
They don't eat.
Barberry, for instance.
Yeah, around the farm, they do not eat the bittersweet.
Yeah.
There's certainly always outliers that do, like burning bush has been here for decades.
Okay. Other questions? April?
More of a statement. I'm very tired because I ran the election last night. I'm getting burned out. So I just want to make the point, this is on the warrant. Like, this can't come off the warrant. The warrant is set. So I'm glad you're sharing this. It's very educational, but like, save your fire for town meeting, because we aren't the decision makers, right? It's the voters you need to convince. I'm sorry about the lack of specific outreach to Celts. I feel a little responsible because I kind of handle the notice stuff, but we met the legal standard and we exceeded the legal standard. And in fact, Rich heard about it. He's on your board. He went to the hearing.
Well,
Right?
that's how she knows about
Okay, and then you told her.
All right.
The hearing worked is the point.
April, do we have any questions? Because we're short on time. Do you have-
Yes, I have,
Go
well,
ahead.
more of a question for the board. So the third point is on the warrant, it says underneath these warrant articles recommended by the planning board. I drafted the warrant for the select board. I was very unsure about putting that on there, and I came to the planning board, if you guys recall, and said, I know this statement is often on the warrant. I don't know if this is right, because we voted to recommend that the select board put it on the warrant. We thought it was a worthy issue to go before the voters. I did not vote to pass it. I don't know how I'll vote. I'm very interested to hear this debate, and I still don't know. So that may have been the wrong thing to write on the warrant. I don't know everything. I asked the board, they thought it was appropriate, so that's what I wrote. But I wouldn't read into it too much.
All right. April is an incredible resource for our town. She owes no one in this room or in this town any apologies, and I won't accept it. Everybody sitting around this table has worked their butt off this year to get before the town questions that they should be considering, talking about, and voting on. And we had a resident step up, do all the work herself, presented at the select board. You all were there. They talked about ordinances. So anyway, I don't want to get too far into that. I'll have some concluding remarks, but April owes no one any apologies. April, thank you again for all your work. Jeff.
I do have another question, and the question's actually toward Susan, if I could, as the concern reflected and the concern for our environment from your initiative is part of what really we respected when we jumped on board. What I'd like to ask, I'm hearing from Kelt, and this is good because we have more information about the application in the herbicide and the preserves, how they do it and the nature of the herbicide. I'm learning that it is possible to mitigate the dangers. At least I won't say there's no dangers, and I'm not sure anybody would say there's no dangers, but to mitigate the dangers with a licensed applicator using compounds that are appropriate for that particular use. Whether that might be an exception, because I note that in what's proposed in the ordinance language is that there is an exception where if there's a declared public health emergency with written approval, and approval by the select board, is there something that possibly we could go forward with if there is an application that's requested by an applicator of this sort, whether that might be a acceptable compromise. Means we're still banning me from going out there and doing aerial spraying of my woodlot, but as a commercial property. But at least in this case, if I'm hearing more even saying that this seems like a relatively safe application, and we know that we have major problems with invasives. And
the question is
just, is this something that might be acceptable to you to identify another exception or another avenue for this to be done that might meet Kelt's needs, but still gives us some protection?
So in order to do that, you would have to change the warrant.
No, the question is a technical,
well,
going to the substance.
You're
right. Theoretically, Kelt, and you all don't have to answer it, but is there an answer to that question?
Well, it's realize looking for the proponents, and we haven't pulled ourselves, but does this help in it, Susan? Maybe, and you don't have to answer if you're not.
So, no, I feel perfectly comfortable answering that. I would like to see glyphosate banned completely throughout the country, and as a matter of fact, there is an initiative right now for that to happen. It's a huge, it would collapse our agricultural system right now if we did it right now. But there is a lot of research and a lot of effort by the Department of Human Services right now going into a way to do that, because they're realizing how they're very concerned about this chemical. I would say personally, no, I think we should stay on the road we're on. But it's the town's decision.
Okay, we're still with the board on questions. Any other questions? All right, I have
just one more brief.
Go ahead.
I think if I understood you correctly in your opening statement, you said you only applied twice on the island in the last 3 years, given the offer for a volunteer crew. And since there's only been 2 applications, can we not obviate Tyra?
I'm happy to answer this question. So the 2 applications, we have management goals for particular preserves. Segerstrom is, I will use the example of Segerstrom. So the cellar holes at Segerstrom are a major component of the preserve. So we have spent about, since the conservation of the property, we cut back a lot of the invasive species. They tend to regrow, and it basically creates a jungle trap. We've had multiple people be very fearful of falling in, of having deer fall in, and different creatures like that. It was not a one of our more accessible cellar holes. It's pretty off trail. It was an application to basically control a large site, a cellar hole that had a major risk of things falling in. Yes, I understand we could have done mechanical techniques, and mechanical techniques have been used there, going back. And I see faces in this room that have cut back bittersweet on, yeah, it is, yeah, so that was one of the management goals there, basically to not have a jungle trap for people and creatures to fall in. And yes, we could use mechanical techniques, but it is a longer lasting. If you mow grass, it does come back. So this is kind of you're killing the species. Hopefully there will be native regen in that area. So that was the intention with that application.
I understand the intention. The question though was, if it's only twice, could we not have done it?
No, my answer is because I did it. And the answer is no.
No matter how many people you have.
I mean, when we first found the cellar hole, it's about the size of this building, this part of the building here. And if you had walked across it, you would not even known there was a cellar hole. Bittersweet was so heavy and thick. I mean, if you fell in there, nobody may have found you forever. I'm being very honest. And so we spent many days, I can't even tell you how many, cutting away all that bittersweet it's still hanging up in the trees if you want to go see how big it was. And it took hours and hours and hours, and we spent time over the next 4 years trying to keep it managed. But it grows so fast and so big, and these roots, as I said, some of them were this big. What Dylan was talking about was just cutting them off at that point where they're growing through the foundation, and that's part of what we want to preserve. Putting an application on top of that will systemically kill that root. So use it in a very minor way, but where it's the only way you can really take care of something. Okay, maybe that answers your question.
Okay, I've got a couple questions, and then Dick will come back to you. And hopefully they're short answer questions on the multiple choice. With respect to the application that you described, the 2 and 3 years, any sense as to how many gallons or quarts or of the stuff you use?
So, my log, I keep a log of every application I make. It's required by the state of Maine. I do take a special, I have notes about the intention of the application and the formulation. So I'm going to use the word 2 gallons, which sounds like a lot. But it was a 2% solution, which basically equates to, I'm poor at the math, but it is about 200 milliliters, I would say, of active component. So, sorry, I said in milliliters, that's about 4 or 5 ounces.
And was that each time, each of the 2 applications?
That was for Beaver Pond. It was one treatment. Basically, we had some outlying species.
I'm just looking for the numbers, not what happened.
Oh, yeah.
One application was 2 gallons, and you've given me the breakdown. What was the second application?
The second application, off the top of my head, I cannot remember. At Segerstrom, I can, if you want an email about it, I can send you it.
Was it more or less than 2?
It's probably around 2, yeah.
Okay.
So we have a 4-gallon backpack sprayer. So
with respect to the application plans, because I assume you've got a plan.
Yeah.
When are you scheduled to do the next application?
So I do have to go back into
Just tell me when. Just,
Yep,
just tell me
no,
when.
I'm so sorry, it's, so.
I'll go on
I
to the
do-
next question. I'll go on to the next
Hold
one.
on, I just have to go, I have to check the preserve. I have to go back and actually see what the state of the preserve is at and whether management goals were reached. So for Segerstrom, that management goal was that we didn't have a pit trap. So on my site visit that I do annually, I'm planning to check to make sure. If not, we would schedule another treatment.
When are you going out there next?
Oh, so I could probably check the calendar, but I believe one of our seasonals is doing it and taking a photo of that specifically, and then I watch it. We have
Are you gonna do it before winter?
oh yeah, it will be
Okay.
before winter.
We check annually.
Yeah, so it will
At
be
least.
probably before November,
Okay,
definitely before September.
good. Thank you. Are you all aware of, how we get our water on the island?
Yes.
Did I hear yes?
Yes.
Okay, you understand we don't have a pool of water underneath the ground, it's cracks in the rock. Okay. When you spray, when you cut and spray, what happens to the stuff you cut?
So the material that we cut, the above ground, it stays on site.
Just stays there.
The vegetative material, when we do cut stem, or for spraying, we don't cut anything.
You're
Okay.
confusing two methods there.
Yeah.
Well, let's unconfuse it. You
Yeah.
described to me a procedure where you cut
Yep.
and spray.
Yeah, so with the squirt bottle, it's called cut stem. So
Where does the stem that you cut go?
stays on site.
Okay,
So the above ground material stays on site, transferring it would probably lead to more spread of invasive species. So it stays right there.
But it didn't have an application, what was cut above did not have an application of herbicides on it.
okay, I get it.
Yeah.
All right, so, with respect to the stuff that's still there that you've sprayed, what happens to that? Does it wilt?
So the plant, glyphosate is a hormone blocker within the plant. So the plant will then one of the hormones that
Hold
is
on.
necessary for.
I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist, I'm not
Great.
gonna follow you. Give me the fifth grader version.
It breaks down.
It dies and turns to
The
dust.
compound is used by the plant. Breaks down, the microbes eat the little components left over.
And the plant decomposes.
Okay, and from your experience,
Yes.
does that stop the growth of the bittersweet forever in that location?
It kills the individual, yes. The seed source may be still within the soil, that's why we do follow-up work.
Okay. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Any other questions from the board?
One quick question. We've been talking about the process of spraying. And one of the things that was brought up in the first public meeting was tree growth areas. And so I'm wondering if anybody knows if the spraying actually occurs on that, or whether we're trying to prevent a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. So can anybody speak to that?
Thank you. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. Did you catch that? So. On the first meeting,
Yes.
the idea of spraying was to increase the area on the island that could be subject to more herbicides.
Great.
And so, so this says that Kelt isn't the only one that we're considering having the possibility of applying these herbicides. So I'm wondering if that conclusion was a problem that doesn't exist.
So, just so I'm understanding, you're talking about an aerial application on forest land, with the intention of peeling it so that trees can grow.
Right.
Yeah, so that is something that happens in the state of Maine. we buy chemicals. I often try and buy chemicals in small dosage. It's a quick, it is a question. So I made a phone call to a gentleman asking for 1 gallon of chemicals. And he said, yeah, we don't have 1 gallon. I'm like, great, what's the next size up? And it was 612 gallons. So that is an aerial applications do happen. They're not usually in this area. They tend to be way up north where there's commercial timberland. We do not do aerial applications. I don't know of anyone regionally that does them. For herbicide use, pesticides, particularly ticks, mosquitoes, that sort of like grave health concern of a insect-borne illness does happen. We are not the type of people that are responsible for that. That's usually the health services. Yes.
Okay, I'm
Just, please. I think you're referring to the conversation I had with Kim Lynch.
Right.
Because Kim suggested that that wasn't the only, like, where else could this be for commercial? We said, well, maybe, the woodlots.
Right.
And I said, well, yeah, it was a joke.
Yeah.
We weren't really suggesting that on Westport Island, that it would make sense to do an aerial spraying of a woodlot.
Yeah.
So it was a joke.
Yeah,
All right,
but I don't
all right.
know if it could be done on a small scale.
It would make no sense.
Okay.
And I don't think it would be permitted because it would spray over, way beyond the woodline. Westport's too small.
okay. We're gonna cut off the questions, comments, before we take a vote. Go ahead.
I think what I'm getting here is it's an educational deficit here that we need to fix before we can intelligently vote on anything. And I suggest that health provide the opportunity for island residents who are interested to go up and watch what they do up there and to really get a grasp of the problem. And see how difficult it is. They can pull up the things. And then they can have a bottle of water in it to show how they would treat an individual plant. And I think we need to know what's going on so we can understand better the risks and the rewards. I mean, I tell you that I have a tick problem on my property, and I sprayed the hell out of my yard for ticks this year with something I bought at Ames. I don't know what's in it, except it killed ticks. So, I mean, everybody's got their comfort level for whatever you use for chemicals.
All right, other comments? Yes, sir.
My name's Greg Gale. I'm on the Conservation Commission of Westport, live at 146 Junction Road, and I'm on Health Board. And it's funny because I thought if someone saw me from my previous life in organic and cereal agriculture talking about why we should allow pesticides, they'd say, what a fraud. But I actually believe, because I'm also involved with other organizations that do ecological work like Ducks Unlimited, the Nature Conservancy, they use these types of techniques. And I think what concerns me is to tie the hands of people with the greatest expertise who are attempting to help Westport avoid a bad ecological outcome. And I'll just give you one example. Like I live in an area where purple loosestrife had hit all the marshes. Nothing eats it except this certain pasture can buy for a lot of money and someone else from the state applies it. If purple loosestrife came to Swamp Creek, I would hope that Cal would say, we're gonna try to pull it. And it's very hard because it seeds very quickly. And if they couldn't pull it, they'd spray it. I'm like an environmentalist. I feel that way about there's a grass that Phragmites. I was just in Delaware Bay. All the duck hunting areas completely covered in Phragmites, can't be dealt with except through sprays. So the state and organizations that care about waterfowl, they spray. So to me, I feel, why would we tie the hands of experts whose job is to help us maintain the ecology that we all love here? Even though it sounds oxymoronic as someone who doesn't use this stuff and doesn't like it. Well, I hope that Carl will have a chance to, if it does go forward and he's voted on this, we can really think about it.
Other comments?
I just encourage, I do think there's an educational deficit here in that the conservation committee used to sit on every planning board meeting and that hasn't happened since my earliest years on the planning board. there needs to be active involvement. We have residents come by all the time. If, you know, we constantly talk about all the issues that we've talked about today ad nauseum. And I welcome you guys to join us, to educate us and to join us in the decision making.
Okay, I'm gonna frame our decision here tonight. One, do you
I
have
have a great comment. Pat Hammer, the main state invasive plant biologist, and Gary Fish, the state horticulturist, they have both told me if you invite them, they will come to a select board meeting, they will come to events. They just need to hear from you. They are great educational resources.
Who's this?
Pat Hammer and. Pardon?
Can you send somebody
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you their information.
Okay, that's fine, that's great. Okay, board members, couple of choices here. One would be, given the late hour, we could continue our discussion and any decisions for a special meeting. I would suggest next week. Or we could entertain a motion to endorse or speak in favor of, or a motion to remain silent, or a motion to oppose the ordinance at the town meeting. But maybe the first question is, do we want to tackle that tonight or have a special meeting next week? What's the sense of the group?
I motion we stay neutral. Like we are. Currently, I mean, and we can,
Well,
I think,
first question is, do we want to make a decision tonight, or do you want to have a special meeting?
I motion we make a decision tonight.
I second that.
Okay, and everybody in
Okay,
favor?
now I motion we stay neutral.
Okay, all right, we have that motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second that too.
All right, and
That means the planning board stays neutral.
Yes, I think,
Individuals can speak otherwise.
yes, and I think we
I mean,
owe,
I can't vote to have you be quiet.
Well, you can make a motion.
I think we
All right.
owe the town meeting an explanation, which John can give,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
when we put recommended by the planning board, we recommend this goes before you. We want the town to talk about it. We're not telling you which way to vote.
All right, we got
because
it.
It's unclear.
There's a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Well, I can't vote.
I'm
in favor,
Voting members are so.
oh, sorry, that's fine.
So let me-
I'm supporting the original as written.
Okay.
Okay.
Ordinance.
So 4-1.
4-1, okay, thank you.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you all. Thank you, community. And I'm gonna part with one note, okay? And I hope you all consider it to be positive. This was a wonderful meeting. This was a wonderful meeting. We didn't need the personal attacks in your letter to get this meeting. And those personal attacks had the potential of poisoning what happened here today. So please, I would encourage Kel, keep your stellar reputation where it is. We love you. We're here anytime. But if you don't get an invitation, don't expect us to come knocking on your door. You know where we are. You know how to pay attention to our agendas. You know how to contact us. And I encourage you all to keep in touch with us, because that's the only way we know what's going on. Gary keeps us posted. We hear from other residents. You're a resident, you're a neighbor, we value you. So please, stop with the personal attacks. What you said in that letter about Ms. Gallagher was totally inappropriate. You can say anything you want to about me. I'm a public official. She's a private resident. So thank you. We love you. Let's keep talking. I think maybe no matter what happens at the town meeting, we'll have more opportunities to talk about this, because it really is important. As Demi said, I think it caught everybody up short. So wait a minute. Kelt is spraying pesticides. I mean, it was the incongruency there was astounding. So, at any rate, we understand you, we appreciate you, and we look forward to more meetings. All right, meeting adjourned.
We got it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did we-
This agenda item is done. Okay, back to back to the agenda. Board members,
Next month.
hold on. Board members, stay with me. We're not done with our agenda. Apologize.
Is there?
Right there.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. The only thing I want to, we'll pass on the rest of the agenda, but I just want to call everybody's attention. We got elections next month. So be thinking about that. And I'll just tell you up front, I was thinking of retiring, but I don't want to retire until we get the ordinances done for next year. Having said that, if you all don't want me, that's totally fine. I would be very grateful, but anyway.
Chair or retiring off the board?
No, I was giving serious thought to retiring as a chair.
Not staying on the board.
Yeah, so, but I want to, I really like to see all the hard work that we've done. I'd like to help see that too. Anyway, that's right.
Are the items on Debbie Williams' status and with Sheila Weaver, is that something we'll just do quickly?
Yeah.
We got Gary.
Gary? Hey, Gary, do you have time to give us a quick update on Debbie Williams and the,
Back to work.
and the Weaver parcel? Sorry.
No, so, you've seen emails from Kristen going back.
We saw all the trees.
Apparently, Sarah Beck, who is the DEP contact, has been dealing with this issue, is no longer in DEP. Someone else has taken over. They do have a big truck. Yeah. It's like a farm for companies like them.
Hold on.
Dick, Richard, Susan, could you all be quiet, please?
Just go on the hallway.
Leave. Yeah. We can't hear Gary.
Thanks, thank you.
Good to see you, Rick.
Thank you for being here, but.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, Gary. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
She is
See you, Dick.
working with the new contact at DEP to sort out what she needs to provide them, because the contractors pretty much walked away. Not being helpful at all, which is exactly what I expected was going to happen. So, it's still on the same track. There still needs to be a shoreline zoning application, but a lot of the paperwork that's gonna be part of the shoreline zoning application is gonna be required for the DEP permit by rule. So, I think that should probably be first, but I was talking to John. I was at a training, a couple of months ago, and it was put on by one of the DEP staff. And their preference is actually to have town approval first, because it's a lot more rigorous and expensive process to go to the DEP and get a permit. And it seems kind of silly from their perspective to go through all that and then go to the town for the $100 permit and have the town planning board say, nah, forget about it.
And I told Gary we'd put that on the agenda for next month. We can kick that around. Any updates on Sheila Weaver, by the way? So, but that's the tax one that Ashley raised.
It was more like her question.
Okay,
I
so
don't-
maybe we should just take that off.
I'll check with Ashley.
Okay.
Wants to do a split of the properties.
She
Yeah,
was interested in splitting. She talked to Ashley, but it would be a subdivision, because I think it's been split a few times recently.
Within the last 5 years?
Yeah, and so she looped her in, I think, with John, but then nothing ever really came of it, so.
okay, we'll just take it off. Any other updates, Gary?
No, so back to Debbie Williams, I think Kristen's intention is within the next week or so to have, I told her, I said, you've gotta get something before the town. So, her mom is who's dealing with it, just on a lot of stuff, issues right now.
Yeah.
Put together, it's somewhat of a revegetation plan, but, there is nothing, no photograph showing, the pre-construction conditions, and, I think there needs to be, but.
Yeah, I was encouraged, and I should have shared this with you guys. I was encouraged by the emails. She sounded real positive, really engaged, really motivated to solve this, and so she and Gary were having a good conversation. Her daughter. Yeah.
It's just a shame that the liability falls on the homeowner, not the professional,
Yeah, of course.
and I don't know if that's anything we could change.
And that's why, I mean, it all comes down to reputable contractors and insurance. So, okay,
No, I don't have anything new.
cool. As always, thank you very, very much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Yeah. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Good job, guys. We got a lot of.